Hey there, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Connie. I'm Connie Fuchsa with Foot Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. How's everybody doing today? Hey, how about those caps? I know some of you are probably tuning in from other areas, but a lot of the work that we do is in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So most people are following the caps. I know a lot of you probably have team members that are from other places that are on the Vegas team, but wow, those caps are going crazy. So hope you guys are having a fantastic morning. I'm coming to you a little bit later today because we had some things we had to take care of this morning, always working to protect home ownership. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that I get questions about a lot. You know, if let's say you own a house in an area where it's rural and there's a lot of land around you, and someone buys the piece of property next to you and they're building a house. So they're building a house, and while they're going through the process of building their house, their builder discovers Smeco comes out, or the electric company, Vepco, and whatever the electric company in your area is, comes out to start running those electric lines for that new home, and they find out that either the box or the direction to get to the box is through your property. And so now you have to decide how you're going to handle that. You want to be a grumpy neighbor and not help your new neighbors out by giving them a right to access that piece of the electric lines that gets to the box? Or do you want to be a good neighbor and offer them the ability to get there? So let's talk about what that looks like, because it's a little bit confusing. And I'll tell you in a second how that exact same scenario works in an area where there isn't a new construction, but it happens to be a neighborhood that there exists. So this actually happened to a house that we owned when we purchased our house, built our house, and lived there for quite a while. At some point later, next door, the vacant piece of property was purchased, and the people that bought that house or bought that lot were building a new house. And when the electric company came in to run those lines, the box, we realized, was actually on the very far corner of our property. So what we had to do was agree to let the electric company travel onto our property for the purpose of running their electric lines so their new house could be connected to that box. Otherwise, if we weren't willing to do that, then they would have had to add a new box at a much larger expense, and it would have been pretty uncomfortable for them. So what we did is granted them what's called an easement, and they had an easement which allowed the electric company to go on and service those electric lines, run electric lines to their house, allowed them to be able to get in and maintain those electric lines, and also allowed that new owner to be able to get to that if they needed to. And so we had to give them an easement. We had to have a surveyor come out, and that's a person who creates a drawing of what the area is that you're talking about. And that surveyor actually defined what that piece of property looked like and where it was located, so that we could actually give a right to use to someone else. Now, we didn't give any of our property away. All we did was give a right to be able to travel on that small piece of property, and for the purpose of maintaining that electric lines. So a lot of times you may find, if you buy a house in a neighborhood that already exists, that the electric company, the water company, the cable company, a lot of those different utilities actually have the right already, it's already been established, to travel on your property to maintain those lines. Now, usually it's along the property lines, but sometimes it runs through the property. So this is something that you want to know, and you want the company that's doing your closing to explain that to you, where that happens to be. Now, the company that's doing your closing is not going to be able to tell you exactly where that pinpoint spot is unless you get a survey of that property done. And so that's a story we've talked about several times, and I can go into more detail with you if you have additional questions about it. But today we're talking about the easement, which is the right for that company to be able to travel on that property and actually do work on that piece of your property. It doesn't give them ownership of it, but it gives them the ability to travel on that piece of property to work on those utility lines. And so that goes on for as long as that property exists, unless it's ever extinguished, which more than likely it's not. At some point, they may have to travel onto your property, and you may see that they've had to dig something up. That's an easement, and it gives someone else the right to travel onto and depending on how it's written, do maintenance in that particular area. You can't build anything over top of where that is, so nothing permanent. So I would suggest you don't put a flower bed, you definitely don't put a shed or a dog house or a dog pen, because if they ever have to travel on there and do maintenance on that, then they're going to damage those things that you have on that property. So you want to make sure you know where those are. So you want to have a survey done of the property, and you want to make sure that you don't put anything there that could cause you a problem if it ever needs to be maintained. So maybe I answered a question for you today. Maybe I brought up a question for you today, either of which is great for me. I really appreciate your time. Remember, we are doing the giveaway every month. So if you guys are watching, I really appreciate it if you hit that share button, because we have these amazing mugs we're giving away, and you will see in the next day or so. I actually got a tie last month for 2 people that shared the equal amount of time. So we're going to be giving 2 mugs away a little bit later this week, and I want you guys to stay tuned on that. But if you would check this out, if you happen to be watching, whether it's on a replay or on live, this beautiful Coffee with Connie mug can be yours if you just hit that share button. Hit it as many times as you'd like. Hit it as often as you'd like. Watch our broadcast. Share it with those people you know. And the biggest reason is because those people you know don't know me, and so I can't share with them. So if you'd hit that share button, I'd really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for taking your time to tune in to Coffee with Connie. I'm Connie Fuchsa with Foot Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. Have a great day, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.